Welcome to the Red Pill Sales Podcast, where we cut through the crap and give you the no BS approach to sales, so you can get your deals closed and keep your reputation intact while doing it. I'm your host, Eric Nelson, founder and CEO of Red Pill Sales. Let's be honest with ourselves. Most salespeople suck. Now, before you go all keyboard warrior on me, I want you to actually listen to what I'm going to say. The point of this is not to piss you off or to offend you. The point is to actually open your mind to things you're not doing with your clients and prospects and how to change them. So hopefully I can show you the things that you may have never heard of before. Or maybe you have heard of them, and this time it actually sinks in and you improve your sales by 50%. Well, guess what? You're welcome. And honestly, if you do find value from what I'm talking about, I want you to tell your friends about the content that I create and I'm putting out. So I'm going to talk today about 7 reasons why salespeople suck. And I'm going to give you some solutions on how to suck less and get paid more. So let's dive in. Number 1, you're not selfish enough. To be effective as a salesperson, you have to create certain boundaries and guard them jealously. The best salespeople in the world jealously guard the one asset that they have complete control over, which is time. The top performers are constantly cutting the fat and getting the time wasters and distractions out of their lives. To be successful and to be a top performer, you have to be selfish. And by selfish, I mean committing unflinchingly to the kinds of activities that are ultimately going to make you better at all the different pieces of your job. Selling, talking, closing, and reflecting. Now, there's 2 tips to help you become more selfish with your time. Number 1, make rules for your calendar and don't deviate. Your calendar is your frontline gatekeeper, meaning that you put things that are important to you in your calendar first. Your wake-up time, your gym time, family time, time with friends, and personal appointments. Once you have your personal items in place, you treat them as written in stone. You then build your personal items with your client appointments, meetings, and administrative tasks around that. Now, it's important that you take care of yourself first because no one else will. If you're sick or burned out, you're not going to be useful to anyone. So once a week, you should take a couple hours to plan your week ahead with your goals. I usually take Sunday night to do that. I also spend about 15 minutes at the end of each day to reflect on the day and to make sure I got everything done that I needed to accomplish. The second is disqualify early and disqualify often. Your job as a salesperson is not customer service and it's not to babysit. Your job is to find the right solution for your prospect and move them to the close and a financial transaction. Trying to accommodate every lead you have is one of the easiest ways to waste your valuable time. It's part of life that you're going to get leads that may not be a good fit. Maybe they don't need what you're offering, or maybe they're just unpleasant people to work with. Either way, move on quickly. Now, your initial research can give you tremendous insights into your would-be customer's industry. Use this information to determine their relevance to your business and what you offer. Learn how to get honest with yourself and then get really honest with your prospect. Never be afraid to say, I don't think my company can really help you right now. But be sure to never burn bridges because you never know who they know or could be a potentially huge client for you down the road. Now, number 2 is you don't listen to your prospects. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, and they need to be used in that proportion. If you're listening, you're learning. If you're speaking, you're not learning. The things that get most salespeople and most people in general hung up is they only listen to speak. They don't listen to understand. Most people are not hearing anything that you're saying. All they hear is their inner voice formulating what to say next. So have you ever been in a conversation with someone and you became totally sucked into the conversation? You felt heard, you felt respected, you felt completely understood. What's happening in that conversation that's not happening in your other conversations? Is the person across from you using some seduction or mind control technique? Are they a NLP master practitioner practicing their craft on you? Could be. But what's really happening is they're listening to you to understand what you're saying. They're repeating what you're saying, and they're asking clarifying questions to make sure that they understand exactly what you're saying. They're making the conversation totally about you and not about themselves. Now, because you're the focal point of the conversation, you feel good about what's going on, and you begin to feel a genuine connection with the other people. Now, people tend to have around an 8-second attention span, and it's probably shorter than that today because everyone is so sucked into their phones and receiving instant gratification all day long. Now, the science says that we're living in a time when it's becoming more challenging to become consistently aware and intentional because so many things are demanding our attention. Our brains haven't caught up to the technology that's feeding them. The impact of this leaves people in a chronic state of fight or flight. Listening is also hard because we're often consumed with ourselves. It's really hard to walk into a conversation without my agenda being written all over my forehead and your agenda being written all over yours. Unfortunately, with the hectic, chaotic, complicated pace of work life today, people are even more committed to getting their agenda accomplished. So when you approach a conversation thinking only of your agenda, your goal is to maneuver and manipulate the conversation to come up better than the other guy. I might influence you to do or act or buy, but the probability that I get any new surprising data is close to 0. Number 3, you spend all your time researching instead of prospecting. Let's do a mini intervention exercise here. Think about the last time that you researched a potential prospect. Now, this is going to be more relevant for my B2B salespeople. Now, my B2C salespeople, follow along because this will help you as well. What did you do when you researched your prospect? You probably started out on LinkedIn, checking out their profile and any relevant articles or posts that they posted. So what happened next? Did you look at their education and credentials? Did you notice under the people also viewed section and see someone who you knew from several years back? Guess what? You just dumped down a rabbit hole. Now you want to see what they're up to and what they're doing with their lives. What was supposed to be 5 to 10 minutes of research now turned into an hour because you lack the discipline to stay focused and on task. Now here's the thing. You don't need to know everything there is to know about your prospect going into your initial calls. You need to know a few things. Are they the right person to talk to? If not, who is, and how do you get in touch with them? Are they in the market for what you're offering? Are they feeling some sort of pain? Can you offer to solve that pain? It's pretty simple. You don't need to find out what their favorite sports team is or even what their favorite flavor of ice cream is going into the prospecting call. Honestly, if I had a guy call me up and say, "Hey, I heard you like strawberry milkshakes from Sonic," I'd be creeped out and I'd block their number. I don't care what they're selling or how amazing it is. So to reiterate, the key to prospecting is to gather just enough information to get the prospect on the phone so that you can identify that they have a need and to set up an appointment. Number 4, you don't dig deep enough into your prospect's pain. Now, if you've read my book or read any of my articles, you know that I talk a lot about prospect pain. Now, the reason is if there's no pain, there's no sale. If your prospect is in pain, but you're not uniquely qualified to fix their pain, then there's going to be no sale. On the other side, if you are uniquely qualified to fix a prospect's pain, but the prospect is not demonstrating the commitment to fix it, there's going to be no sale. So what motivates people to buy is pain. I'm the doctor with the medicine, and you're the patient with the problem. Now, there's 3 levels of pain, and the deeper you go, the more difficult the conversation is for both the salesperson and the prospect. It involves being vulnerable, which is a tough thing to do for a lot of people. Most salespeople suck because they don't go deep enough into their prospect's pain. They stay around the surface level, which is the first level, because it's comfortable, and going any deeper is scary. And in order to not suck, you need to seek out ways to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Now, there's 3 levels of pain you must address with a prospect in order to get the whole picture. The first level is surface pain. Surface pain are the technical issues your prospects are dealing with. It's the reason the appointment was set in the first place. What are the issues your prospect is dealing with? Well, my sales team sucks. I lost my health insurance. My roof is leaking on my house. Now, a note for inexperienced salespeople. Most salespeople never get past surface pain. Once they identify the pain, they go immediately into the presentation. Now, an experienced salesperson who understands the 3 levels of pain is going to take the time to explore the details of the issues. By taking the technical issue and expanding on it, the salesperson can then encourage the buyer to qualify the problem in business terms and personal terms, convincing the seller that purchasing the product or service to resolve the issue is worth their investment. Now, level 2 is business or financial pain. How is your problem affecting your household or business financially? Now, using the 3 examples, the prospect would probably reply with something like this. Because my sales team sucks, I'm not bringing in any money, I can't afford to pay my bills or my employees, I could go out of business. I can't go to the doctor now because I can't afford to pay out of pocket for a visit. Gosh, I really hope nothing bad happens to me. Gosh, now I have to have some guy come patch my roof, and if he discovers other damage due to the leaks, it's going to wipe out my savings. Now, it's the seller's job to say, how can you quantify the impact this is having on your business? If your buyer can't convince the seller that those issues are having sufficient business or financial impact, then the seller starts moving towards the door. The buyer has to convince the seller that they can justify the cost. The process also provides clarity for the seller on exactly how to present their solution as something that can help them. If I'm sitting there and I know I have a solution that could probably dramatically improve the situation by giving the buyer clarity as to what exactly the problem is, I'm going to start to quantify the impact my solution can have. Level 3 is personal pain. People do things for their own reasons, not necessarily their company's reasons. Now, the goal of level 3 pain is to uncover how the issue is affecting the client on a personal level. How is it making their lives difficult? Now, the point here isn't just about demonstrating why the buyer specifically would benefit from the solution. It's also designed to ensure that the prospect will commit to working with the seller. Simply put, a prospect who has a personal investment in the problem being resolved is far more likely to walk side by side with the seller throughout the sales process. The only way to get that kind of commitment from a buyer is if they convince you and convince themselves that finding a solution is a very high personal priority. Now let's look at the scenarios and see what that looks like on a personal level. So what's going to happen if you can't get your sales team selling? You're going to lose your business. Your wife's going to divorce you because you can't bring in any money and now she sees you as a loser. Your kids are going to see you like a complete bum. You're going to end up being a walking country song. Do you really want that for yourself? Since you don't have health insurance, what's going to happen if you get sick with cancer or have a heart attack? You can't afford it, and your family certainly isn't capable of paying those kind of bills. You're going to die from something that could have been prevented by having health insurance. Do you really want that for yourself? Now, I understand getting a leaking roof fixed is expensive, but it's something that can't be ignored. Ignoring the problem is going to cost exponentially more. Mold is only one of the problems that's going to arise from a leaking roof. Now, your son Johnny has asthma, right? Do you really want Johnny to have an asthma attack that he can't recover from because of the mold that could have easily been prevented? Number 5. You don't practice your craft. You just wing it instead. This one really grinds my gears. Now, I've been doing this long enough to pick up on a bullshit artist a mile away. They're usually some kid who's had a little sliver of success selling shit to pigs. They have no idea that in fact their shit actually does stink. They come into the meeting completely unprepared, thinking that they can get by with their good looks and charm. The fact is, that doesn't work. Now I'm going to make a confession. I didn't close a whole lot of deals this past year when I was building my business and writing my book. I was more concerned and concentrating on content creation and not sales. Well, guess what? I could hear myself slipping back into old ways and forgetting what to say when I was talking with people on the phone. So instead of having the attitude of, well, I'm a best-selling author and I'm a business owner with a really cool business name and an awesome logo, and I'm a podcaster, people are going to take me seriously just because of that. No. I got on the phone with one of my original mentors who owns a high-ticket closing company. I was honest, and I told him that I needed to start working out my sales muscles again because I've been out of practice for a while. So he was generous enough to give me a job closing for one of his clients. 4 appointments a day, Monday through Friday, talking with people all over the world. Now, why did I do this? Because sales is like a muscle. You have to work out every day in order to stay in shape. You have to practice your skills in order to stay on top of your game. Now, I told my mentor, I'm going to record every single one of my calls, and I'm going to send them to you to listen to. I also told him, I don't want you to hold back any punches with your feedback. Now, he's the professor that never gave an A to a student because there's always something to improve. Now, I really value that sort of blunt, honest feedback because I kept my ego out of the conversation. Sure, you can learn basic sales strategies and tools from a book, but nothing is ever going to beat getting your hands dirty talking on the phone with people. You're going to learn things about yourself that you could never learn in a book. And at the end of the day, I listened to every single one of my recorded calls and I critiqued myself. I wrote down notes of things that I thought that went well. How was my tonality? Did I set the agenda for the call effectively? Was there something the client said that I missed that I could have used to close the deal instead of not getting the sale? Did I go deep enough into their pain? Did I close them properly? These are all things that you're only going to learn by doing the work and practicing your craft. Number 6, you're lazy. Are you willing to do the hard things to get through a rough season in your life? Don't fool yourself because we've all been through rough patches. I'm talking about doing the necessary things that you may think are below you in order to keep the bills paid, the lights on, and food on the table. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I would hire the person on the spot that told me that they worked nights as a janitor to make it through a rough patch. The reason is because they're willing to do the necessary things in the moment. They're leaving their ego out of it. Now, most of you are not willing to grind and do the dirty shit when the situation calls for it. You'd rather sit on the couch and feel sorry for yourself. And frankly, if you're not willing to grind and suffer, you don't deserve to be successful. Because no successful person ever got to where they're at without pain. You need to get used to pain. You need to embrace pain. Pain needs to be your best fucking friend. Number 7, you're not taking your prospect on a journey. Now, sales is about being able to guide your prospect on a journey of your choosing and allowing them to come to the conclusion on their own that you picked out for them. Most salespeople are so concerned with their own agenda on a call that all they can think about is the next question to ask. They miss out on opportunities to take something the prospect said and expand upon it. While you do need to stick to your agenda on a call, you can't be afraid to go down a rabbit hole that might lead to the keys to the kingdom. Now, sales is a transfer of emotion, which means that on your journey, you can't be too rigid with the path that the journey takes. Now, the end result can be the same without taking a linear path. The best salespeople I've ever met never take a linear path to the close. They have the agenda steps that they're going to tell the prospect they want to accomplish during the call. Then after that, they're just having a conversation and asking questions. Taking your prospect on a journey is the most difficult part for most salespeople, especially when starting out. Most salespeople are so scared to mess something up that they stay rigid and they stay linear. Loosen up and roll with the conversation. You'll find out that you end up selling a whole lot more. That's it for this Red Pill Sales podcast. Don't forget to leave me some feedback on iTunes, YouTube at Sales Entertainment, or Spotify. Also, check out my new coaching platform, Red Pill Laser Coaching. As a salesperson, you're busy. You don't have time to sit through hours of course material every week. Red Pill Laser Coaching is 15 minutes a week with a one-on-one call with me. It's designed to give you the actionable tools and strategies you need to absolutely crush it. Red Pill Sales Podcast listeners can save $1,000. If you think coaching could help take you to the next level, send me an email at ericnelson@redpillsales.com. Your initial 30-minute conversation with me is absolutely free. Don't forget to pick up my book, Closed, The No BS Approach to Sales, at my website, redpillsales.com. As always, thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking with you next time.